Alright. I got back. I have an array of knives. Let's see. Is this... There we go. There we go. Yeah. Nice low profile Stanley knife in there. Perfect. Alright, this Stanley knife holder I have is actually just a cheap Chinese one, but if you look, you can see there's a very low profile holder on this side and then the big on that side, so it's unlike a carpet knife holder or whatever, it doesn't have a big fat side in the way, so pop that off of there, unthread that, and now get that little ground lug off of there. Oh. So the bearing caps are 3mm. The head bolts are 2.5mm, and this little ground strap is 2mm. So that's the three sizes of screws that are on this so far. Take that out. What I expect to find, because I haven't torn this apart at all, I expect to find just some metric cap screw or something holding those bearing journals in place on the base. So when I dropped it, I'm assuming one of those snapped, and I'm going to have to, when we get in there, we'll find out what went wrong and have to figure out what I'm going to do next. Trigger sensor on the side of the body here is going to need to get removed. That must be the 2mm again. Pop that off so that the engine can come off the base here. And of course, like if you come up with a problem with your ignition system, or if I discover this ignition isn't working after I pried on it a bit, when I get a new one, just have to move everything like that. Set the base aside and bring the engine back over here. Alright, now Oh yeah. So there's 4 hex cap screws under here. The base here, and the seam, and then there's a fuel line off there. And then the cylinder is screwed on with the first 2 screws, and the bearing journals for the big end are attached with the last 2 screws. Those look like the big 3mm caps. You know? Oh. Both of those ends are okay, which means... oh yeah. There is nothing broken there, it just got knocked loose. So I can put this back together with a bit of Loctite and it should be fine. Nice. Check these other ones are still snug. Well, since I'm here, I will pull all these screws out and put a dab of Loctite on both of them. On all of them. Ooh, well, that's interesting. Okay. So of the 4 screws, 3 of them are longer and 1 is shorter, and I did not make a note of which one was shorter when I took them out. It definitely came off of the side with the cam on it, so I am going to guess the short one is the one that goes below the cam, because if you peer very carefully in there, this screw actually goes into the hole. So I'm going to rag, wipe these off. Oh, there it is, sitting on the table that I was just at. Grab the Loctite here. Okay, let's put this side back first. So since I seem to have made a mess the last time I closed the Loctite, I'm going to just dab the bit that's out there. Snug those both and then tighten them up. Oh, that's alright. Well, looks like I can't tighten those until I get the crankshaft back in, because it seems to line up using that. There's a lot of play in this setup, so we'll start working more quickly here to get everything back together so I can set the camshaft or the crankshaft in and use that to line these up before the Loctite sets, because that's always takes a little bit of time, but you gotta work quickly with Loctite since it starts to work as soon as it's in the threads. Alright, got that, and there we go. Alright. Use my fingers to hold it steady there. Snug those all up. Now, get the piston to go in. Oh. There we go. Piston in. There. Move the detent lever so that pin fits into the groove here. Now, checking my mark on top there and my mark here. And that seems to be all in order. So I'm going to get these bearing caps on. I have a sneaking suspicion that they assemble these because the flywheels and everything are put on separately. I would bet they assemble these with just the crankshaft and then start sliding the gears and stuff on after they get the crankshaft journals lined up. Yeah. There's my other cap. Alright. My cap lined up here. Oh. This procedure, I think, did not work the way I wanted it to. Oh yeah, that is rubbing a lot. Okay, so I'm going to have to loosen these up now. Alright. Snug them. Okay, now we're in business. Tighten these down. Okay, so there we go. Now we're good. Well, if something like this happens again, these two pieces, I guess the best way to do it, which we just learned, is get these pieces, the cap screws under here loose, make sure your crankshaft is in place, tighten your bearing caps, and then gradually tighten these caps screws here, and make sure that you're spinning to make sure that you get free movement from your crankshaft. Now, I'm going to triple check my timing here on the camshaft. Checking my marks, and then I'm peering carefully down in here to make sure that the lobe has got the valve open as far as it'll go. So, alright. That looks good. I think I'm going to put this back together. That means take this, check and make sure that the and take the sensor off to get it out of the box. And now, putting the sensor back on. Oh, I think I can reach. Yeah, I can reach through there. Okay. Leave the ignition sensor off right now and just get these cap screws. In the bottom here. So those were 2.5, so I'm very tempted to get a little hex driver out, electric one, but I don't want to be doing anything like that on this because these small screws are going into aluminum. I'm already not having great luck with this since I dropped it and have to be fixing it. And I'd rather not ruin anything by getting impatient. So, our 2mm and get the ground lug back in place. Nice thing about hex keys is you can usually hold the screw on the end and then manipulate. Like that. There's the ground. Ignition. All right, now look at that, I got that screw in on the exact first try. Well, there's two of them in there, and I don't know if you can see any better than I can, but there we go, got the second one in. I'll tighten both of them. One more check. Alright. Not feeling it hit over here at all. And that's all good. Let's see now. That trip there is holding the valve open. Good. Perfect. Oh, that's nice. Mark that. And last thing before I call this finished. There, I was talking about. Like to strip that bit of wire so that when the boot is on here, it pushes up and makes contact instead of sometimes they will require the spark to jump from the wire down to the plug and then through. So alright, well, I think this is put back together properly. I am gonna stop recording now, and we're gonna find out if this works together on Saturday when I have a chance to take these out and set up in my garage and try them out again. And then we'll do some testing. The fuel tank for this engine is, make sure that's kind of level, significantly below the needle valve there, so I don't know how well that's going to work drawing that far. I think it's probably just going to need to be opened quite a bit further, and it probably is going to be a bit cantankerous because, again, like, without good controls, that needle valve really is sensitive to the level of fuel in the tank. and how far it's drawing. So, but that's all to be learned later when this is really in good running order. So, yeah, be back later when this is all getting tested.